Hello, everyone. I have such a blessing. This is the 18th episode of Minding Our Mental Wellness, and we have some brothers to discuss the effects of the media on our mental health. And I just want to say the media has had such an effect on the black man's health in mental health, uh, physical health too. But when you say that black men are angry, violent, and up to no good, and you put that out there in the larger community, and so when people see a black man, they have that little edge that affects our mental health. I mean, you look at a situation like, go back to Trayvon Martin. If that media image was not there, would he have felt the need to follow that young man? So it affects us in so many ways. Would anybody like to discuss how the media has affected our mental health in that particular way? Brother Tyrone, you want to jump into that?
Sure thing. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the images have changed as far as what how media portrays us. I guess I could say it's a work in progress. But for a long time, black men have been shown in the media as being angry, dangerous, and violent. And, that's just not been fair. And in many ways, it's been harmful. Um, those images made people fear us and judge us and oftentimes treat us as if we were less than human. Uh, but even worse, those images made a lot of black men, well, I'm not going to speak for all, myself, have made myself oftentimes believe that I'm not good enough. And so then I would struggle to talk about my emotions and talk about the struggles that I had. Um, and so that kind of pressure really has hurt myself as a black man because we've learned to swallow our pain and we've learned to never cry and we never talk about it and to keep it all bottled up. And that for me has led to depression, anxiety, and oftentimes feeling alone. And today things are better. We have shows like Bel Air. We have movies like Moonlight. Um, and we have artists like Kendrick Lamar who show us that black men can have their emotions, um, and that we're complicated people. So yeah, the media continues to have an important role, and I think we've grown over the time. And I think that as black men, as we talk about our mental health, we're able nowadays, more of us, I know myself, I've been able to take off that mask and not have to act like I'm so strong, but actually show myself and really be genuine in who I am. And I think it's helped that there have been other black famous men or men of color who have stepped up in the media to say that they have pain and that there's a certain point of talking about our mental health.
Understood. It also had the effect you were talking about depression, anxiety. You know, sometimes we practice, where we don't show our real emotions. We try to hold back and not be ourselves and make sure we're docile, we're not aggressive, and that affects us. That
Mhm.
really affects us. Uh, 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 Brother Vernon, would you like to talk about that? Would you like
Well,
to talk about the effect?
well, first of all, I want to thank everybody. I want to thank you for having me on your podcast, and Brother Tyrone and Brother Davis there. Thank y'all very much for being a part of this conversation. The media has not been our friend, to be quite frank, to be quite honest. I mean, we've come a long way from Step It and Fetch It, but the media has played a large part in how we are viewed, how we are accepted, how we are able to move. Because you hear my voice, I have a distinct amount of bass in my voice.
mm,
But when I'm in certain environments, I have to take some of this bass out of my voice. Now, mind you, if you check out my website, you'll see me. I'm 6 feet, cowboy boots, cowboy hat. So in boots and hat, I look like I'm 6'3", 6'4", 200 plus pounds. So I'm kind of intimidating to some. And the reason why I'm intimidating to them is because they are believing too much in the media and what the media has taught them about us. Um, and my day job, I'm a leadership consultant for OEM, for a car manufacturer, and I travel the country. I travel and I help people make money, and you can tell. I mean, honestly, you can you get to my age, you can tell when people are like, okay, who is this and what did they know, uh, and you have to show them that you are the SME, service matter expert in your field, and that you are there not to do any harm, but to deliver information that will help them with their business. Now, I get to see America from a different perspective because I'm a professional stand up comedian. And I won't say I gave up urban. I'm a brother, true enough, but
mm,
I didn't grow up. Well, I did grow up in the streets of Memphis, but I went to school in Junction City, Kansas. I went to school in Memphis, New Orleans. My view of the world is a little different, but a lot of places that I perform, people don't look like me. Uh, I jokingly tell them, if I'm here for 3 days, y'all may qualify for a grant from the NAACP. Um, I've been to places, I mean, seriously, man, the only thing darker than me has been asphalt.
mm, mm,
But I teach people, I'm attempting to change people's perspective one laugh at a time. I try to teach people that laughter has no color. If we can laugh together, then I can't see why we can't live together. And that's deep to a lot of people. As going back to the views of the media, I mean, you stop and you look at what we see on TV anymore, brothers. Um, I have, we rarely see us every day, us. If we do see us, like on a commercial or a TV show, we're not paired with a black female. We're paired with other than. If we see a black female, she's paired with someone else. If the alternative lifestyle situation, that's the only time you see just us in that particular commercial. Do I have an issue with alternative lifestyle? By no means. My daughter lives an alternative lifestyle. I have a nephew. I have all kinds of people that do. But what they, what the media is afraid to portray or to show, is we as strong black men working, not janitorial or this that, working real professional positions, taking care of our families. Now, mind you, I didn't grow up with my father. I did not. But I have been with my children since they came out of the womb, and my grandchildren. But this is not what they're used to seeing. So when they see or meet men such as us, they don't know how to, that's not something they're used to. And they're a little taken aback. And it's hard for them to process that. But all that we can, and we're expected to work and deal with them. Uh, but at the same time, we understand them, but they do not understand us. Why? Because many of them have never had more than a 5 minute conversation with a man of color. Sorry, I'm kind of passionate. I'm kind of
Well, some
passionate about it.
fascinating points, Brother Vernon. But I just want to say, you mentioned about the black female, and it's always been that the media and the authority has kind of tried to put a wedge in between us because they know the power of the family, and it's always been, that was reasons that the media wanted to present us in a certain way, that it would disrupt our family situations. Also, it's always been a thing across the board in Africa as well as with American blacks, that they want to make sure that we are not as smart, we are not as responsible, we're not as capable. They still want to give that subconscious thought to ourselves that we accept that, as well as to the larger community. Brother V, do you think that has changed? Brother V. I guess he's not there.
Can I speak to that? Can I speak to that real quick?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Brother Tyrone.
Go for it.
Let's be honest. We were castrated as black men many years ago.
Mhm.
The government has taught our women that they don't need us. The government has us. We can provide you anything and everything that you need if you will just take that black man out of the house. And this goes back to the 60s and 70s. I mean, it used to be a woman wanted a black man that had a good job with good benefits, things of that, good credit, things of that nature. Now, our women have those. So we went from being a necessity to an accessory. We went from being the clothes on the back to a purse. I mean,
So
so we a long time ago. So go ahead.
let
I'm
me
sorry.
ask this. Why did they do that? Why did COINTELPRO and that direct effort? I would say it is because they really fear if we came together and did not have attacks upon us, we have time to think and time to put together our foundation. They're afraid of what we could accomplish. What you say, Tyrone?
I mean, I have to counter what both of you are saying because I hear what you're saying and it is true. Yet this is the 21st century and things have changed and things have improved. And we have more say over our own bodies and our own image when it comes in many ways in media. We have Black folks, we have men of color who are stepping up, people of color who are stepping up in the industry, and they are helping to promote a more positive image of what Blackness looks like. Yes, it is true that that there have been and continue to be times where perhaps it's not the image that we want, but we can't say that we own Black women or that Black women should be with us, because the reality is many of us as Black men aren't showing up for ourselves. And so how can we be expected to show up for our wives or for the women, for the children, when we also accept those negative stereotypes about ourselves in the 21st century and talk about the story of way things used to be and not really think about what is possible and how we can help improve the positive images that are now coming out in music, in the media, in magazines. It is not all negative. There's an added value that I see there also.
That's
I,
true. That
I, I
it's not
agree
all
with you
true. I mean,
to a
that's
certain
true.
extent, but they are still in control of the media, and they'll only let, in my opinion, that image go so far. Let's look at President Obama and how he said it himself. Can you imagine if I had tried to do what Trump did?
True.
No,
True.
he understood he was in a certain box, even though he was president of the United States. So, no, they still control the media and what comes across the TV, across the social media, still projects into our kids' mind and still helps develop their mind. And we are not in the house as much with the Black woman. And that is still by design from the things that happened in the 60s and 70s. And as Brother Vernon said, yes, they have their own money and they don't need us they don't believe they need us as much. And so it's such a conflict and a difficult situation to be able to engage and work with the Black woman. Hopefully it gets better. Brother Vernon, go ahead. You wanted to say something?
Well, quite frankly, you're right, brother Tyrone. I agree with you. Uh, it is a new day and a new age, and there are places that I go that I could not have went 50 years ago. Okay, I have still had a noose hung in my honor.
Mm.
Um, yeah. And I've heard some jokes that should not have been told in mixed company. Go, oh, you're a comedian. You got thick skin. Yeah, I got thick skin, but sometimes, well, like a white man once said, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. So there are times when I cannot defend my blackness, or I can't defend it. I have to accept, almost accept what they said, but at the same time, and I accept it by dismissing myself
Mhm.
because as far as the media has come a long way. I mean, in the morning I watch Gail King. We got Gail King, and we got the other young man, who I love very much, and I can't think of his name at the moment. That's what happens when you get all this gray hair. But if we start talking about our people who are doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs, or people who are influencers, we're talking about athletes and movie stars and comedians, and I'm not negating any of that. But why aren't we not talking about General Benjamin O. Davis Jr. and Sr., the Invisible Generals,
Mhm.
the first black generals to ever serve in U.S. military history? Why are we not talking about, when we talk about science, the first name that comes to mind is Neil deGrasse. But there are so many. What about the black man who did the very first open heart surgery? Why are we not talking about these and putting these out there as an example? And then, last but not least, I do not want to own a black woman. I don't. Um, my mother was a single. Well, my mother, when I was growing up, my mother was married a number of times, but she was still a single woman. Figure that piece out.
Mhm.
My mother taught me to be the man that I am. Even though I'm fourth generation veteran, my mother instilled in me a lot of the qualities, the survivabilities, the characteristics that I still hold on to this day to move forward. But my point to you is this, is that we are still not visible as we should be because our government decided that if we can make black man invisible, not make him necessity, we win. Why would they not make us? Why would they want to do this to us? We tend to hide what we fear.
That's what I've been saying in the Black Man Mental Health Group, and I've been saying everywhere. I mean, if you look at the amount of attacks throughout history, the attacks in Africa, if you go and look at the meeting that they had in 1888 in Berlin, where they divided the whole country of Africa and spliced it up, and that led to World War I. They understand the value and the power that the black, and they want to make sure that they don't come together. Why did they say that Africa is such a small country when it's actually the biggest continent? But the projection that they want to do always is that black is less because they know that black people are the original, because I mean a black skin is the start of everything. That's where everything started. But the media is getting better. You have a black anchor on basically every news station, but it's still cautious as to what they can say. I remember here in Houston, I'm in Houston, when Barack Obama was elected, the black lady on there, she was scared to say that President-elect Obama. The white man had to say it. We still have that in our consciousness. We still have that that fear, because we know we can only go so far. As you know, Arsenio Hall, he had the #1 rated show, but what happened when he tried to forget and say, okay, I can do what I want to do, and he tried to put Farrakhan on. He had no more show after that. So it's still, we have a certain box, and we understand that. And they want to make sure we stay in that box because of the perceived power. Look at the talent we have as far as being able to speak, as far as being able to dance, being able, athletic, physically, we can overrun. I think they just want to keep us in that box. And as long as we are in that box and they are able to collect their generational wealth and still maintain the television stations and all of the apparatus for presenting image, media, sound, picture. That's why I'm so excited about Ryan Coogler and those other directors and motion picture makers, because if they can get an open road to be able to make a correct message, maybe one day he'll put the story together of Marcus Garvey and all of those people who really bring our history together. Let me check with Brother V. Brother V, you want to say anything? Are you there? He's still not there. So, Brother Tyrone, I understand what you're saying.
Let me just add
at the level it should be. Go ahead.
It's still not at the level that it should be, and there's the woulda, coulda, shouldas. And what we have now is what I'm wanting to highlight is the progress. And even though it's been slow, and if you ask my grandmother, who I'm a grandmother's boy, so if you ask my grandmother would say it's still not happening fast enough, baby. We're still out there being lynched just because of the fact that we're walking down the street and it can be our own neighborhood. The amount of times I've been pulled over by the police, especially when I was in college, because I went to a private college in upstate New York. And so I was very much one of the few men of color, if not people of color on campus, being pulled over by the police. So yes, I see that there is still that problem. And I want to celebrate the fact that we do have these movie people out there. We do have people that are out there that are getting the funding, because before we couldn't even get the funding. So I would want to acknowledge the fact that we've been the victim of a systemic pattern of wanting to suppress our genius. Yet at the same time, in this time period that we're in, there are so many cracks in that ceiling that they can't hold us back, and they can keep trying, and it's really up to us to say no more. I am no longer a victim.
I just want to say I agree with that. A part of the program now is for LeBron James and Denzel and this person and that person to put together their money together and build a studio or a television station and put together the apparatus to increase our image and increase our circle. So a lot of it is up to us now. But I'm not going to say that they're going to just lay aside and let them do that. They're not going to do that. Brother Vernon, you want to say something?
I wish they would give us, don't get me wrong. What the young man did with Sinners was beautiful.
Yeah.
But there's so much. Okay. It's one thing to have a beautiful message, but it's another thing for those who don't know you to understand the message that you're trying to present. Okay. I could write, EBGB, ABA, EB, and you and me know what it means, but the man with the checkbook don't. Okay. I would love to see more of our black billionaires and millionaires collaborate, but let's be realistic. Unfortunately, to some degree, many of them still live with a and the crab in the bucket mentality.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so that makes it difficult. Do you know why um, we get, okay, as I put it in the chat, did you know that we as people of color have the most disposable income than any other demographic in the United States?
Define disposable in in the
We
context you're
don't
saying.
save. We don't
And we don't
invest.
spend with our own community.
We don't have community left to spend with unless you're in Bayou, Mississippi, which is 99% black, or you're East St. Louis, which is 97% black. But
Okay.
so then therefore, like, okay, let's just say I get my money. Let's pretend, even though I don't have any hair, I get my money, I go to the barbershop. I spend my money with a black barber. The black barber has to buy his hair supply. He has to buy his supplies from somebody who sells those supplies. Let's just pretend that he's buying them from a black barbershop supply company. But where's that barbershop company getting their supplies from? Somebody other than us. So then, therefore, our money only turned over 3 times. You could take the barbecue man on the corner, and it's the same thing. I spend my money with him, but where did he get his meat from? He got it from the grocery store. He got it from Sam's. So being able to spend the money in the black community, something I learned I give my wife credit for this because my wife is from North St. Louis. She grew up here. And she said one of the worst things that ever happened to the black community was desegregation. And the
Many
reason
people
why,
say that.
well, and the reason why is because when she grew up in her neighborhood, matter of fact, we just rode through her neighborhood the other day. We had a terrible tornado here in St. Louis, and where she grew up at was part of that community. So we rode over there. But she said we had doctors, lawyers, we had our own shops in the community, we had churches, that were in our communities, we had schools, all of this. But when we started desegregation and started sending our children out of the community to be educated by others, when they got through with the school, they say, "Yeah, I really don't want to be here no more," and they left, and they began to build their lives anywhere other than where they was brought up together. So then, therefore, if you take the future of that neighborhood out, there is no future for that neighborhood except for family reunions and barbecues.
Stan, and that goes back to the old Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois debate of the talented 10 and the industrial, where he said, okay, we need to aspire to, our highest level and go to Harvard and all of these other schools, where Booker T. Washington said, no, we need to build our own school and not aspire to hang out with them and be with them. Let's build our own. So it goes back to that argument. I say we need to do a little bit of both. We need to aspire to our highest level, but we also need to make sure that we take care of our own and be comfortable with ourselves. And a bunch of that goes back to self-love, and the mental health group, we talking about that. We got to get back to self-love. I think with the media, the biggest thing they have done is they have attacked our love for self. We still have a problem loving ourselves. And
we were never taught to love ourselves.
True. Now, in some of the black families, they taught us that, even in segregation, even through slavery. We were taught in our nuclear family, but that was attacked. The nuclear family was attacked, and a part of the media, big thing about them was to attack that nuclear family that the black man and the black woman had. And we are still struggling with that today. Tyrone, you want to say something?
And I hear you on that, and there's a part of me that says, what does it mean that nuclear family?
Well, it's certainly different than it used to be.
It's certainly different than what it used to be, and now because we have extended family. There are ways that an uncle or a second cousin who can be the mentor to that next generation, so that they understand the past and where you want to go into the future. And when we talk about our mental health, representation matters. Representation matters. So we want to make sure that our youth understand that it's okay to not know. It's okay to have fear. The organization that I work with, the Mankind Project, we work with men, and specifically part of the group that I'm part of, which is called the Brotherhood of the Mankind Project. We work with men of color, and when we bring these men into our circles, we're saying to them, "You're my brother. You may be from a different mother, but you're my brother. And I'm here to support you. I'm here. What is it that you want to do? Where do you want to go? How can I be of service to you so that we can co-create a world that we want to see now?" It's no longer them saying to us how we must be, but as men of color coming together in spaces and saying, how we want to create this.
I, I have an argument against that, but I want to go to Brother Vernon. I agree with some of it, but I got a little aside on that. Go ahead, Brother Vernon.
So, Brother Tyrone, I commend y'all for what you are doing. I think that is awesome, and I think that is wonderful. But we have to first, in order to get the man of color to love himself, we got to get us out of survival mode, because we have been in survival mode for a very, very long time. I mean, uh, don't get me wrong. Yes, we did have, and we still do have ancestors or elders that that loved us, but they loved us, but they taught us to survive. They didn't teach us to love each other, to love ourselves. They taught us to be strong, stand in the gap, take care of your family. Men don't cry in public. Man, if you asked another man 25 years ago, how you feeling today? He'd punch you in the face, because this was not a conversation that we were used to having. We were and still are in survival mode. Now, I'm fortunate, as my wife says, I'm very fortunate. I'm very in touch with my emotions. But a lot of us men are not, and we were not raised to be. Uh, Feelings? What feelings? You ain't got no feelings. Your feeling is get up and make a living and move forward. Now I'm gonna speak one last piece. Survivability. Um, that's the reason why we have so many men of color in prison, because they were merely trying to survive and take care of their families. So they did what they had to do and ended up they where they are. Unfortunately, I don't don't get me wrong. I'm not condoning selling drugs or anything like that. So let's get that straight. But many of them did what they had to do, and I could speak to that because I was once part of that conversation many years ago.
I just want to say the whole thing, in my opinion, is different. I got a 26-year-old son, and the young people, what they are up against, the images that they are up against in the media, social media, television. First of all, social media is a 4-second attention span, and they have they trying to come up with things so fast, decide things so fast, where we didn't have those challenges. Today, I'm sure all of you have encountered, hey, I'm trying to fix my phone, I have to give it to my daughter, or you might have to give it to your granddaughter. Certain things I can't even deal with, they can deal with, because they have to deal with these things all the time, where they are challenges to us. But one thing that the Black boy and black man has to deal with is they have images on TV that we didn't have. They have two men kissing on TV. You know, the show Empire. Empire showed a lot of that. And you didn't have those images. And in some ways, they are promoted in such a way where the young black boy coming up saying, hey, can I find love like that? Can I be accepted like that? Because he's not sure of his identity at 13, 12. And so he does not necessarily understand. And that's why I think that can be a detrimental image. Now, I'm not against the LGBT community in that context, but what I am saying is for the black community, I'm not seeking to promote that alternative lifestyle. And I think it's a detriment. And that's another thing that the black community has to guard against. Your comments on that, Brother Tyrone?
So for me, when I hear that, first off, it's not an alternative lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. It is
Okay.
a way of living. It is who my brother, my aunt, my uncle, is part of our community. And and this
It
is
is.
it's a big topic and it's a tough conversation. And this topic matters. And I will say, seeing more queer people, especially black queer love on TV and in movies, is important for black men and people of color's mental health. So, far too long, those stories were hidden and treated like something bad. And now young people who are gay or different are finally speaking out for themselves in a positive way. And that helps them to feel less alone and more confident in who they are. Now you may not, or someone else in the black community may not agree with that, but it has always been part of our community. And for us to not recognize it continues to be one of the mental health issues of loneliness, anxiety, and suicide. And I would say for some straight black men, it can feel confusing, and even uncomfortable. I can acknowledge that. I can see that, especially if they weren't raised to believe that gay, the gay, if they were raised thinking there's a gay agenda, and somehow it's wrong. I can see where there's discomfort, and I can even perhaps understand the fear which turns into hate. But here we are. All black men deserve to be seen, loved, and accepted, even if they are in the LGBTQ community. If we're talking about mental health, there is no wrong way to live life when you're talking about loving someone because that's how you feel. We may bring church into it, we may bring other outside, but if I'm talking about myself and who I am, I can't tell someone else that choice of how they express love is not acceptable. And especially nowadays, knowing that my telling them that their life is wrong will and can contribute to their mental health issues.
The only thing I was saying is how much should it be promoted, but you kind of covered that too, that it deserves a place so that they can have mental health support also. I understand what you're saying. Brother Vernon.
Well, Brother Tyrone, you're right. I mean, even when I'm doing comedy, I do a bit about, like you say, like I'll just say lifestyle. Thank you for teaching me that. I'll go with that from here out. I tell people you ain't got nobody to answer to but you and your creator.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I to judge? Unfortunately, I was molested by a friend of my mother's, when I was at a very young age. So my views may be skewed. Okay. That's just how that is. Now, we were talking about Empire. Here's my issue with Empire. Even though I did watch, I supported, I like Terrence Howard. Taraji P. Henson, great actress, and great actors there. I am tired of seeing our people and they're teaching our younger people the only way you're going to get be successful is music,
Mm,
making beats, playing basketball, playing some sport, or becoming a rapper. But I see it being a rapper, or in those. Why can't we? Why can't we remember the Huxtables?
mm,
There was Dr. Huxtable, and there was, and his wife was an attorney. What happened to that? Uh, the show that the show that was the spinoff from the Cosbys, where they was in college.
different world.
What was that?
Different world.
Different world. I
Mhm,
watched it, but it had, I mean, they've learned that more people went to college after watching those shows.
mhm,
Okay, so
And black colleges.
I don't give it. I wouldn't care if you go to kitty college. Go get you an education. But that's not what we were taught. Now in the schools, they're telling our children, hey, look, you really don't need a 4-year degree. Once you go become a, because once you become a, go get you a vocation, which is something they used to teach back in the 50s and the 60s, to be a plumber, to be an AC repair. Have you ever seen a homeless plumber? You ever seen a homeless AC repair person? You ever seen a homeless electrician? No, you haven't, because if they've got these skills, they can always eat.
mm.
Everybody's not going to be the CEO or COO of a Fortune 500. So this is what, as far as how we're being portrayed on TV. They go, okay, well, Vernon, you know what? They got a serious drama about people of color. Yeah, it's called Greenleaf. Have you watched this? Come
Right.
on, man. I mean, Vernon, you ought to watch The Shy. Why should I watch The Shy? I'm tired of seeing my people doing bad.
Mm.
Uh, so
Let me ask this:
generationally,
do you think there is more even and balanced portrayals on TV today?
no. But at the
Okay,
same time, part of that is, I mean, and this is where black people look at me like I got a horn coming out of my forehead. It's mathematics. It's just that simple. We only make up 13% of the population, so therefore we can only expect 1 out of 10 of those roles because we're only 1 out of 10 of the population. We cannot have the majority of the roles because we're not the majority of the people. Now, if it's programming that is geared towards us, that's different. Like Tyler Perry does a great job in employing us in his movies. Although I'm not a fan of his Medea work or some of his movies because it always makes us men look like we're not doing our jobs. We're not celebrated in a positive light, if you will. You but I think that if we're going to do these TV shows or do these movies or whatever it is, that's something that we do something other than drug dealers and hip hop artists and music. Like I say, why can't we do something positive? Like how the black doctor created the first heart surgery, or the man who
I
created
just want to
the
interject this.
refrigerator.
It probably goes back to what they believe the kids will relate to and what the kids want to see. That is why, they going back to the music industry, there was a time when they geared everything to gangster rap. And that because there were some positive images like Too Short and Poor Righteous Teachers and all of Too Short's early stuff, like The Ghetto and Life is Too Short, was very positive. His later stuff, more geared toward gangster rap. But
Okay, I'll go with that.
yeah, but That's because the industry said, hey, that's where I need y'all to go. So it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. The media wants to slant it in a way that our people do not get full impact. They don't want us to be seen too much as scientists. They don't want us to be seen as geologists and something that is a thinking person in such a way, unless you're a detective or something like that. But that real kind of like Neil deGrasse, they don't want somebody to have a weekly show that is dealing with his thinking. He would have to bring it on himself. I think he does have a show on TikTok, but it goes back to that media image. They want to control that, and they still do. Now it's better. Tyrone is better, but it still goes back to us putting together our money and controlling totally what's being able to put out there. Until we do that, it's still going to be skewed. Go ahead, Tyrone.
And it is skewed. And to go the other direction, there are shows that are doing incredible things, or past shows. There was the TV show Blackish. A successful Black family navigating identity, parenting, and culture through humor and through their heart. There is also, what's that show? Insecure. And that, I don't remember the name. Issa Rae, I believe is her name. She wrote it. It's her show. It's about a modern, authentic look at Black millennial life and young Black excellence. So, living through Los Angeles and developing friendships. And there's that TV show. I haven't really paid any attention to it. What is it? Abbott Elementary, I think is the name of the show. And that's a hit TV show. And it has a whole lot of heart. And it talks about, it shows Black educators and the magic that they do.
And the Black woman wrote it, and she's the creator.
The Black woman, exactly. And so, and it's showing what you can do when you're in an underfunded school in a humoristic way. And so we do have, it is there, maybe perhaps not in the same numbers as some of these other shows, but the potential is coming through. That's what I want to highlight, is that, and
I agree with you on that.
And that's within the Black. And I mean, there's the Latinos, they have a show. There's all this like kid animation stuff that's happening out there. There's some good stuff that is coming through, that is showing us what it means to have more self-love.
I agree. And if we put together more money, we can do more. Go ahead.
We can do more. We can definitely do more.
You said the one word 10 times that keeps us from those things being seen and learned and appreciated, and that's television. Okay, because television is now, we can skip through the commercials. We can skip through the show. We can skip over the show. You want to know what our true issue is in America right now? Even not just the Black community, but across this country. It's right here. This.
Social media. Yeah.
Well, no, not just even, yes, this is, no, not just social media. This is the biggest distraction we have in our life. Wife and I went to dinner tonight. 2 women went to dinner together. They were sitting at the table next to us. And instead of having conversations with each other, they were both in their phones. They were both in their phones like this, not looking up and talking to each other, but everything and anything that they want to watch is right here. So then, therefore, the people who do control, and yes, I like Abbott Elementary. I watch it. My wife is a retired educator. So we appreciate the show. Watch that. Blackish, loved it. Insecure, that's on, that was on HBO or something like that.
Yeah.
How many of us are paying for HBO subscriptions these days? So then, therefore, this is not something our next generation is exposed to. And that's where we have an issue, gentlemen, is that whenever I speak at a school or I speak to a group of young people, I tell them I'm here to invest my time in you because you are my future.
Mhm.
You are my future doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs, politicians. But we have to be able to get in front of them. And if we can't get in front, how many? I mean, I'm sorry, brother Alexander. How many young people you think gonna watch this? Now,
You're right. You're right. I
okay,
agree with you.
but we have to be like me.
I'm working on that though.
Okay, well, but no, but see, that's just it though. And I'm gonna say this, and I hope this gets to the right people. We have to be intentional in our own homes and neighborhoods and instilling in our young people the right values and teaching them love and self-love, uh, and not that how important it is to be a rapper or whatever. Uh, that we have to be able to be self-sustaining.
Mhm.
You can't live in your mama's basement and make beats and hope you can sell a few of them for $50 a pop. Uh, this is where, so like I said, media is great, but the true media is the media that me, you, Mr. Tyrone, we grew up with was our mothers, our grandmothers, our fathers, our stepfather, our grandfathers, our uncles, our aunts, actually talking to us from the heart.
Brother Vernon, I got to say that what you showed earlier is the competition for that in this new day and age. You showed that phone. That disrupts mama and daddy sometimes. You know, so many pressures, so many that I was a special ed teacher for 32 years. And I'm gonna tell the story. My daughter is 4'10, 90 pounds. But when I took her phone, she got 500 pounds and it was, we dragging back and forth. It's such a crazy thing that that power that phone has on those young people. And that media through that aspect, what you said about the two ladies at your table, yes, that is the biggest influence today, even over television. It is because through their phone, that's where Facebook comes, TikTok,
Mhm. Mhm.
BuzzFeed, and all these different things. And so, and that still is an area where Black media has not got in as much. We are getting into more of the, you know, the traditional sources such as movies, TV, even news media, but we're not impacting as much unless it's on Instagram and a little bit on Facebook. But you know, those entities that control those is only so many certain things that they'll let come through in mass. So, hey, this has been a very interesting conversation, Brother Tyrone. Give your final statement, and then anything you want to share about how people can reach you.
So my name is Tyrone Marsh, and I'm in New York City. I'm not from New York. I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee. Southern born, Yankee educated. And I will tell you, for the last 7 years, I've been part of an organization, a men's organization called the Mankind Project. And what we do is we talk about what does it mean to be a man, especially in the 21st century, when one doesn't have to be born physically into being a man. But what does it mean nowadays to be a man? What does it mean that to project masculine energy? And so what I would share with you is you can reach out to me to talk about that topic. If you're looking for a men's group, men of color, there is within the Mankind Project, many of us who are meeting several times a week. Young men, some as young as 18 years old, are meeting. And those on the other end of being our elders and closer to the wisdom of the generations are welcomed in that space as well. You can reach me, Tyrone Marsh, my name, at mkp.org. That's Tyrone Marsh at mkp.org. And like I said, I'm here to share. I'm here to offer light. And I'm just another guy who's trying to figure out what does it mean to be alive in this time, in this history, because whoo.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is a whole different time. The lessons of the past don't apply. It's all new today. Brother Vernon.
Well, first of all, I guess as I take my leave as well, I want to thank you for letting me be a part of this conversation. I live in, well, my name is Vernon Davis. I live in St. Louis. I'm a Texan. You can find me at my web address, which is right there, as my name,
In
Vernon
the
E.
chat.
Davis II.com. You can Google me. You can find me on social media. But as my book says, I'm a published author, comedian, keynote speaker, U.S. Army veteran, son of Shirley. But I wrote 3 books. I own a nonprofit for veterans called Thank You for Your Service, which is a whole nother conversation, which you can, if you go to my website, you can learn more about that. What I will say and challenge people to do is very, very simple. Yes, this is a powerful tool and it is keeping us from guiding and directing our young people into the right direction. Pardon me, I'm also a cancer survivor, so I still get a little cough here. Um, Take away the phone. It's really simple. Take them fishing, take them camping, take them for a walk. Spend time with them. Stop allowing media to be your babysitter.
Mm.
Put
Very
down the
much so.
tablet. Put down the tablet. Put down the laptop. Let's go outside and sit in the yard. Come on, boy, you're going to go cut grass like I used to do. You can't cut grass with a phone in your hand. You can't land a fish with a phone in your hand. You can't fly a kite with a phone in your hand. And while you're doing these wonderful things, instill knowledge and self love into them while also teaching them to survive.
It's a challenge though, because to get them just to slow down enough to hear what you're saying is such a challenge every day because their mind is moving all the
Whoa.
time. It's such a different way.
Who's the parent? Them or
Huh?
you? Who's the parent? Them or you?
Well, the parent in this day and age has such challenges. I was a teacher, and people would want you to blame the parent, but the parent is a lot of times overwhelmed. It's not just a simple thing that it was for our parents, because this internet impacts everything, in my opinion. I just want to say that we do a monthly show in this mental health series, Minding Our Mental Wellness. Our next show is on teaching Black boys patience and discipline. And we'll have a couple of educational doctors on to discuss that. And again, I was a teacher for 32 years. And I thank both of you, Brother Tyrone Marsh, Brother Vernon Davis. I think it's been a very powerful conversation. And I'll make sure both of you get a copy of the video. Okay?
Beautiful.
Well, thank you guys. And I will see you, and we will have